Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 11th. Let's get going. It's the start of a new series. Welcome back, everyone, and hello to all the new people. This run is going to be a bit different compared to my P3 Everyday series, as I've played Persona 4 before. I figured I'd take this run to complete my missing achievements on Steam. I've got all of the story-based ones, as well as half of the social links completed and carried over. Yep, you've heard me right. This is New Game Plus. Speaking of New Game, I introduced myself to the Long-Nosed Man, and after having my fortune read, I wake up on a train to the small town of Yasuinaba, where I'm going to be spending the next year of my life with my Uncle Dojima. Him and my cousin Nanako pick me up from the train station, and after being graciously greeted by a local hottie, we make our way back home. We stop for gas, and true to the small town nature, the attendant strikes up a conversation with me, even going so far as to offer me a part-time job. We make it back home, and after eating and heading to bed, I experience a really foggy nightmare that teaches me that my camera's inverted. I confront a shadowy figure in the fog, and it taunts me, goading me to seek out the truth. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 12th. Let's get going. I wake up to a delicious homemade breakfast courtesy of Nanako. I guess she's the one who takes care of the house. Nanako shows me the way to school, and while on the way, I dodge a wild Spider-Man drive-by on a bicycle. I get to class, and the teacher, Morooka-sensei, thinks it's okay to call his students losers, so I push back.
That's it. You're on my shit list. Effective immediately.
After class, us students are forced to wait until an announcement comes through, informing us that we're to head home immediately and not make any detours. I go to leave, and the spunky chick and her friend ask me if I want to walk home with them. After some physical abuse to Sasuke and a failed attempt at flirting by a weirdo, I get formally introduced to Chie and Yukiko. Chie even goes out of her way to embarrass Yukiko and I by asking if I think she's cute, which, yeah. We run into Dojima on the way home, and I guess there really was a bad accident. I head home, and on the news they talk about it, saying that the police found a dead body hanging from a television antenna by the school. On that note, I head to bed. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 13th. Let's get going. Another day, another Ben 10 drive-by. He really should stop riding that bike. I help the poor guy out of the trash can, and he introduces himself as Yosuke Hanamura. In exchange for my savior services, he offers me a ride to school, which IRL I would probably decline. He can't really ride that thing. After class, Yosuke invites me out on a date to get some steak, but upon hearing her trigger word, Chie appears and forces Yosuke to buy for her too. We end up at Anime Walmart. While chatting, Yosuke notices an employee take her break, and I ask if that's his girlfriend. Chie scoffs, and after a brief convo, the girl comes up to me and introduces herself as Saki Konishi. She pokes fun at Yosuke and leaves, and Chie tells us about a rumor that's been going around, saying that if we watch TV at midnight while it's raining, we could see the love of our life. I figure, what the heck, what's the worst that can happen? At home, Dojima passes out on the couch watching the news, so I call it and check out the Midnight Channel. I fall asleep with a neat concussion. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 14th. Let's get going. After class, Chie, Yosuke, and I discuss what we saw last night, and I tell them about how I went into the TV. They laugh, and I say I can prove it, so we head off to Jeunesse to find a bigger TV to climb into. While the two chuckle fucks are off doing a bit, I shove my whole head into the TV, which causes Marth here to have to pee for some reason. After a classic Scooby-Doo bit, we all fall into the TV. We decide to explore and look for a way out, and we come across a weird bedroom with ripped up posters on the wall, and a noose. We hightail it out of there, and come face to face with this fucking bear. He conjures up some TVs and shoves us through them, saying we're invading on his privacy. The gang decides to head home for the day, and I sit down to a rare dinner with Nanako and Dojima. Dojima asks if I know anyone named Saki Konishi, because apparently she's gone missing. I feel a slight chill crawl down my back. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 15th. Let's get going. At school, we get an assembly called by Principal Gandalf, telling us that the dead body we just saw was in fact Saki Konishi. The whole school is stunned at this news, but Yosuke's brain is working overdrive, and he says that if we go back into the TV, we might be able to figure out what's going on. He rushes off to Jeunesse to gear up, and Chie and I follow after him. We decide that it should just be Suzaku and Lelouch on this expedition, and after handing Chie a rope to pull us back out, we step into the bear's domain once again. He introduces himself as Teddy, and gives us each a pair of glasses to help see through the fog. He leads us to a replica of Yunaba's shopping district, and we make our way to Konishi Liquors. Having awakened to my persona, we head inside to discover a shadow version of Yosuke, who's actually pretty based. Yosuke rejects his inner demons, and throws me into a battle. Shadow Yosuke is pretty straightforward, so after a quick 1-2, Yosuke accepts how selfish he is, and awakens to Jiraiya. We decide to call it for the day, as we're both exhausted. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 16th. Let's get going. I run into He-Man on the way to school, and after reaffirming his commitment to solving this case, he proclaims that he has the power and forms a bond with me. All party members in P4 have social links this time around, and everyone gets a built-in read Potter to start. Between classes, Chie voices her concern that Yukiko's absent, and says that she saw her on the Midnight Channel last night. Thankfully, her fears are assuaged when she calls the Amagi Inn, Yukiko's family business, and the princess herself answers the phone. After school, we head to Jeunesse again to confirm with Teddy that no one has been thrown in the TV world. After having him ungratefully bite the hand that feeds, he tells us that he's all alone, so we leave. We cut to the Inaba police doing their job for once, and investigating the scene of Saki's death, albeit a day late. While the fuzz fumble around, I head home to peep a new episode of my new favorite show.
Good evening! Tonight, Princess Yukiko has a big surprise. I'm gonna go score myself a hot stud!
Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 17th. Let's get going. It's the weekend, and I come downstairs to find Nanako all alone. She says she'll be fine by herself, so I go meet up with Surf at Jeunesse. He surprises me with some weapons, and not so long after he starts waving them around, and the cops show up. Due to nepotism, Yosuke and I get cut loose, but not before getting chewed out by Dojima. We run into his partner Adachi on the way out, and he lets it slip that Yukiko went missing last night. Chie shows up to confirm this info, and we head to the local blacksmith to gear up for our first true foray into the TV world. We visit the bear, and he takes us to the castle from Yukiko's video after we explain what happened. We try to keep Chie on the sidelines, as she doesn't have a persona, but she runs ahead, and we go chasing after her. We find her face to face with her shadow version, who represents Chie's self-image and jealousy. After a quick,
You're not me!
and a reminder of how nice it is to control my party members, Chie accepts her shadow, awakening to Tomoe. On our way out, we make a pact to solve the case. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 18th. Let's get going. Chie comes up to us in the morning. She seems unfazed, and thanks us for helping her yesterday. We get to talking about our awakenings, and both of them realize that I didn't have to fight my own shadow, with Chie even commenting that I might have a magnetic personality. I'd never miss a chance to flirt back.
Whoa, maybe you are my type.
After Shimon leaves, I double down on the flirting, and ask Chie for her number, before forming a bond with her. After spending a little too much time setting up my rescue phrase, something nobody is going to see, and putting up this poll to decide if I should use my already 75% complete compendium to breeze through, I meet one of the greatest characters in the game, Funky Student. This guy will have regular quizzes for us. And thanks to my short time on Vexillology Circle Jerk, I unironically know that the colors he lists for me are the top 6 flag colors. After calling it a day, I head back to the Velvet Room to speak with Marge about my assignment with Doreen, and find out she's not of man. So she's single? Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 19th. Let's get going. I wake up to a phone call from Mommy reminding me to make friends at school. And on the way in, I see our 2 next potential friends. This poll that I put up should explain who I'm going to pick. In fact, on my first playthrough, Strength was one of the few SLs that I started but didn't finish. Speaking of Strength, I make my way to the gymnasium, where I'm introduced to the basketball team as the new captain. Realistically speaking, this makes 0 sense, but no one seems to care. The only one that does seem to care introduces himself as Ko Ichijo after practice, and his friend shows up too and introduces himself as Daisuke. I form a bond with the 2 meatheads, and Daisuke asks if Ko got stuck cleaning the equipment, to which he responds with the single greatest image this game has to offer. After practice, I decide to try out one of the many new things P4 has to offer over P3, which is actually doing something at nighttime. I hang with Yosuke, and after a quick chat, he hands me some caramels like a grandpa. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 20th. Let's get going. After helping Yosuke out in literature class, I make the call that we're going in to save Yukiko today. Unfortunately, I've forgotten just how grueling the early game of Persona really is, and I die quite a few times to hallway fights. The only thing keeping me sane is Chie bouncing to the beat and hitting her iconic backflip. We make it to literally floor 2, and get introduced to Yukiko's quest for the blue monkey. Shadow Yukiko wants a hot stud, and she wants it
What the
bad.
hell is this?
I run into a treasure hand, and honestly, I prefer the P3 versions of these bastards. I've seen that Reload kind of meshed the 2 versions together, but these are just straight dookie. After traversing the trick hallway and falling to Yukiko's night, I took a break to grind, and let me tell you, the adjustable difficulty that the comments kept recommending for P3, which in Fest did not exist, might I add, is coming in clutch for the money in EXP. After coming back and curb stomping that night, I take my leave, as I'm really low on SP. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 21st. Let's get going. At lunch, Ko comes up to remind me I have practice to attend. I guess shooting hoops is a diligent task? After practice, Ko asks me where I want to eat, but Daisuke pulls up, denying me my beef bowl. He mentions a girl from his class wanted to give Ko some sweets she made in home ec, and Ko looks a little down and says that he hates his name. He goes to let the girl down gently and gets some sweets, and asks if I want any, before ranking up.
Welcome home!
I get home and realize I have some gemstones for my adventures in the TV, so I head to the pub and talk with the owner. She mentions how her little one, Akihiko, refuses to eat. Have you tried giving him protein? Upon hearing about the delicious ladybug in my pocket from trading soda with the kid, the fish in the tank trades it for the fish hook in his mouth. The pub lady also gives me some breadcrumbs as a thank you. I read before bed. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's April 22nd. Let's get going. After school, I run one of the most important errands I can in this run. By giving this old dude this fish hook, I've unlocked the fishing minigame. No time for that today though, as I've committed to rescuing Yukiko today. I dump all of my money into the strongest weapon I can buy for myself, and fuse Pixie, Apsaris, and Sandman to create Valkyrie, which now lets me cover every elemental type. I find out later that this is insane help, as we make it to Shadow Yukiko, and we get our classic,
No! You're not me!
and get thrown into a fight. Shadow Yukiko's a weird fight. She's weak to ice and outputs fire damage, but she also summons a little minion dude that'll heal her for like 200 HP every 2 turns. I found out a little too late that I shouldn't even worry about him after getting my face rammed in by her Phoenix Cage. Eventually, Bro runs away from the fight, and we just AoE Yuki-chan into submission. Yukiko acknowledges her childlike want to run away from her problems, and embraces Konohana Sakuya. After getting her home safe, I get treated to a special dinner featuring Adachi. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's April 23rd. Let's get going. On the way into school, I overhear some students talking about the part-time job listings in town. These are something I barely engaged with in my first run, but something I engaged with a lot walks past me, distracting me. In class, Yosuke just legitimately didn't listen to the teacher, and I bail him out again. I decide to spend the rest of my day checking out those part-time jobs, and see one for a daycare. I figure, hey, childcare is essential, should pay good, and I take it. At the end of my shift of playing tag, there's one kid left who hasn't been picked up yet, and just as I go to console him, his stepmom finally shows up. I know what it's like to have step-parents, so I empathize with Yuta a bit. I gossip with the other caretaker before taking up some night fishing. I caught a red goldfish. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's April 24th. Let's get going. I wake up to a phone call from Ko asking if we can hang out, and I say sure. In terms of the achievement hunting, I have to be very careful with Ko's social link, as there are a few books locked behind him at certain ranks, and they're completely missable otherwise. We hang at Okina Station, a place we're sure to see more of later this year, and Daisuke brings up the fact that I'm friendly with Yosuke. We set up our next Bros Day, Brosuke included, and then part ways. I come across this creepy chick at the shrine that wants my goldfish, so I kinda just hand it over. I end the night by running into Chie outside of Aya. She said she ran out to grab a bite to eat, and lists the pros and cons of a small town. I do my best to embarrass her, but she brushes right past it to keep talking about food. Classic Chie. She gives me some chocolate for my troubles, though. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's April 25th. Let's get going. On the way to school, I overhear some kids talking about the culture clubs. I'm still not sure which one to pick, so after a quick trip through my high school physical education, I go work at the daycare. It's literally free money, as I spend the whole day playing hide and seek. On my way home, I notice Yuta's stepmother at the weird pagoda in the middle of the field. I go up to her to see if she's alright, and I guess she just sat here for a few hours after hurting her leg. She tells me her troubles, and how she's only been married to Yuta's dad for 6 months, and how he's always out of the house. It's that kind of stepmother, I see. I form a bond with the stepmom, and read about fishing before bed. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's April 26th. Let's get going. In class, Mrs. Nakayama gives me night terrors before calling on Chie and asking her about numbers. The only thing in Chie's brain are kung fu and fistake, so I lend her a helping hand. She meets me during lunch and wants to thank me for saving her keister, so we both head to the riverbank to hang out. Chie says we're actually here for training, and awkwardly asks if that's okay. I say I'm cool with it. I'm vibing with the energy. Upon ranking up, Chie learns Rebellion, and we head home after some frog leaps. At home, I take a look in the fridge and find some expired miso. To be honest, I'm super hungry, so I eat it. but I end up going to bed with an upset stomach. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 27th. Let's get going. The rain is really coming down today. When there are long spans of rain, that's usually the game telling you to go save whoever's trapped in the TV. Since we saved Yukiko already, we're fine. So after hunting around for any of my friends to hang out with, I noticed the capsule machine by the Shiroku store. On rainy days, the dial is loose, so I take my chance with it. Unfortunately, the prize gets stuck, so I run inside and ask the owner for help. She works her Shiroku magic and reveals the prize I won to be an ice cube. She also gives me some extra keys as an apology, and I realize that using the capsule machine takes up an entire time slot, something I will definitely not be doing ever again. After walking home in shame, I head up to my room to finish my book about fishing. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 28th. Let's get going. I run into Chie on the way into school, and she says that Yukiko should be feeling better in about 2 days. Weird that she gave us a specific timeline that coincides with the deadline for saving her, but whatever. After taking a quick look at my achievement list, I noticed that I never finished Aya's Beef Bowl Challenge. Since it's raining and there's no friends to hang out with, I figured now is as good a time as any. With my impeccable social stats, I easily survived my trip to the meat dimension and received the first trophy of the year, Food Fighter. After receiving a helpful tip about fishing during the rain, I decide why not take up the rod. Unfortunately, I forgot how to fish, so I flubbed the first cast, but I end the night by catching an amber seema. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 29th. Let's get going. It's still raining, and it's a holiday, so there definitely isn't anyone to hang out with. I do a bit of resupplying from the Shadow Yukiko fight, and I run into the Velvet Room and realize there is someone I can hang out with today.
Huh?
Even though it's raining, I decide to hang out with Marie, and would you look at that, the rain cleared up for our date. While walking around the shopping district, Marie catches a whiff of the grilled steak at Sozai Daigaku, and like every woman in this game, she wants the schmeat. I have to buy her some, since she doesn't have any money, and she basks in the marvels of capitalism, before Luca shows up to interrupt my date. He tries to slide in and steal my girl, but all he ends up doing is cucking himself into buying us all steak. Marie asks why steak is called steak, and we get a neat little fan reference, courtesy of Atlas West. We head to the big hill, and after Marie writes a little poetry about nature, I form a bond with her. While watching TV at home, Nanako mentions that Golden Week's coming up, and asks if we can go on a family trip to Walmart to celebrate. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's April 30th. Let's get going. I run into Yukiko outside the school gate, and she seems like she's feeling better. She apologizes for making us worry, and runs off to chat with Chie. After school, we meet up on the roof, and the girls made a little snack. We interrupt our hangout time to interrogate Yukiko about the night she got kidnapped. Unfortunately, she doesn't remember anything, save for the fact that the kidnapper rang the doorbell to get her attention. After Yukiko decides to join the team, Mighty Number 9 over here decides to run through all the clues we have. But after a small mishap regarding their instant noodles, we head to Junes to buy the girls' steak. While there, who else but Adachi would show up and give us some hints about possible connections between the victims before scurrying off to give Dojima some coffee. We decide to head into the TV to formally introduce Yukiko to Teddy. He gives her a pair of glasses, but accidentally drops one of the worst gags in the game. At least he gets a laugh out of Yukiko. And the night with a good book.